Good morning. I'd like to call to order the June meeting of the Suffolk Historic Landmarks Commission. Could we have the roll call, please?
Commissioner Bailey?
Here.
Commissioner Bissell?
Here.
Commissioner Coley?
Here.
Vice Chairman Darden? Commissioner Draper?
Here.
Chairman Hobbs?
Here.
Commissioner King?
Here.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Here.
Commissioner Turner?
Here.
Chairman, you have a quorum.
Thank you. The minutes of the last meeting have been distributed, and I trust that everyone's had an opportunity to review the minutes. Does anyone like to make a motion or correction?
Motion that we receive the minutes that have already been presented.
Motion? Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, minutes have been approved. Okay, we have several items of new business today. First of all, request for certificate of appropriateness, HLC 2022-0014, submitted by William Bellairs, applicant on behalf of B&B Ventures LLC, property owner for the new construction at property located at 121 Welland Street. The property is further identified as tax map number 34G17A 235, Suffolk Voting Borough, zoned RM, Residential Medium Density Zoning District, and HC, Historic Conservation Overlay District. Could we have a staff report, please? Morning.
Oh, there we go. Good morning. As you said, the applicant is requesting a certificate of appropriateness to construct a new residential dwelling at 121 Wellands. The property is part of the original West End Historic District. The subject property is zoned residential medium zoning district with CBD to the north and a spot of OI to the south. The subject property is a vacant lot. The applicant proposes to construct a two-story dwelling fronting on Welland Street with a driveway on the side to provide off-street parking, in addition to installing a 6-foot tall fence to enclose the backyard. Both adjacent lots are contributing single-dwelling structures, with 119 being erected between 1895 and 1910, and 123 being erected between 1920 and 1935. The applicant is proposing a raised slab foundation 24 inches above finished grade. The siding is proposed to be 6.5 inches, traditional beading, wood grain mastic Overton siding painted Everest or a similar color. The right gable will be constructed with white vinyl, royal board and batten. The shingles are proposed to be Tamco Heritage Virginia Slate architectural shingles in Virginia Slate. The front door is proposed to be a white therma-through Benchark fiberglass Craftsman 2-panel 6-light door. The applicant is proposing all windows be vinyl-clad wood windows in the color white exterior to be trimmed with white PVC, with the front facade windows to include Mid-American raised panel shutters in the color 166 Midnight Blue. One step less than 24 inches high will lead to the back door, which is proposed to be a therma-through benchmark white, half-light, 9-light, 2-panel fiberglass door. The applicant proposes two 6-foot, 6-by-6-inch square PVC wrapped front columns. As previously stated, the applicant proposes to enclose the backyard with a 6-foot tall southern pine yellow dog-ear picket fence in the color cedar bark. The new construction is compatible with the character of the area in material, color, size, style, and location, and complies with the design guidelines and the Secretary of Interior standards, while creatively interpreting and incorporating various architectural styles from the neighborhood into its design. The foundation height, square columns, and 6/6 and 4/4 vinyl-clad wood windows were designed to reflect the character and rhythm of the neighborhood. Additionally, while standing seam roofs are preferred over asphalt roofs, architectural shingles are a material accepted for new construction and are often used on new construction throughout the district. Finally, the proposed concrete driveway is appropriate for the area, as it will be constructed to the side of the proposed dwelling. Based on the evaluation and the previous findings of facts, staff recommends approval for the Certificate of Appropriateness, HLC 2022-00014, with the conditions noted in staff's report. This concludes staff's presentation. I'll stand by for questions after the public hearing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll now open the floor for public hearing. Is anyone present who'd like to speak in support of this application? Would you just step up to the microphone, please?
My name is William Belaires with Absolute Development. I'm the builder for this project, and I support this, and I stand by for any questions you may have.
Thank you. Thank you. Is anyone else who'd like to speak in support of this application? Anyone who'd like to speak opposed to it, in opposition? If not, we'll close the public hearing on this item, and we'll open the floor for discussion among the commissioners. Does anybody have thoughts or comments among the commissioners?
Think that this is not new territory for us. If you go on Wellens or St. James, there are 2 houses. Next to Carter's Furniture, there's 1 house. Down Wellens, on the opposite end of this vacant lot, there are 2 houses. On Smith Street, there's 1 house at 412. So we've already opened up Pandora's box, as I consistently say when we run into the structures like this. So therefore, I would see no reason to disapprove it.
Okay. Would you like to make this in the form of a motion?
I make a motion that we move forward in approving this development.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Okay, we'll ask for a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Bailey,
Yes.
Commissioner Bissell,
Yes.
Commissioner Coley,
Yes.
Commissioner Draper, Chairman Hobbs,
Yes?
Commissioner King,
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer,
Yes.
Commissioner Turner. The motion passes with a vote of 8-0.
Thank you. Okay, the second item on the agenda, request for Certificate of Appropriateness, HLC 2022-0015, submitted by Maya Zamani, Better Quality Homes, LLC, property owner, for exterior alterations at property located at 222 Clay Street. The property is further identified as tax map number 34G18A, star 39, Suffolk Voting Borough, Zone RM, Residential Medium Density Zoning District, and HC, Historic Conservation Overlay District. Can we have a staff report on this, please?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the Historic Landmarks Commission. Specifically, the applicant is requesting to replace all 1/1 windows with white composite windows, replace the existing and missing metal railing with wood or composite railing, and to repair the foundation and front garden bricks like for like. The subject property is located at 222 Clay Street in the original Suffolk Historic District. The properties within the original Suffolk Historic District represent late 19th and early 20th century development, with residential styles including vernacular, federal, Italianate, Victorian, neoclassical, and bungalow. The structures immediately adjacent to the subject property include early 20th century Queen Anne-style Victorian dwellings. Additionally, the subject property is located in the RM, Residential Medium Density Zoning District. The subject property contains a contributing Queen Anne Victorian dwelling built circa 1910. The dwelling has 2 stories with Palladian motif windows in the front bay. The hip roof has a lower cross gable with a 10-bay porch with Ionic columns and classical entablature with dentils. Again, as mentioned, the applicant is requesting to replace the existing 1/1 windows with new composite Anderson 100 5-bricks windows. The Palladian motif windows will not be replaced. A condition statement was submitted with the application outlining the current condition of the windows. It was stated that the windows in the house are beyond repair. The windows are not functioning and have been out of use for over a decade. The windows and seals are broken in multiple areas, allowing air and moisture to enter the house. Some windows have been replaced incorrectly, while others have been taken out altogether and boarded up with plywood. Staff considered the replacement of the windows per the Historic District guidelines and the Secretary of Interior standards. For the windows within the Historic District, painted wood, metal clad, or vinyl clad are generally allowed as outlined in Section C3 of the design guidelines. However, staff also evaluated the windows according to further guidance in this section related to kind and texture of materials, architectural and historic compatibility, comparison to original window profile, level of significance of the original windows to the architectural style of the building, and material performance and durability. Staff reviewed the proposed replacement of the existing windows with the 100 Series Anderson single-hung windows. The composite windows for the proposed windows, known as Fibrex, which is a proprietary mix of wood fiber and polymer, adequately replicates the appearance, profile, and dimension of the wood windows. Information on the windows' performance was provided by the applicant and shows that the proposed composite windows perform better than traditional wood windows. The windows will also be installed with a matte finish and will not be shiny. Finally, staff considered the pattern of the original windows. The original windows are 1/1 windows and do not have an ornate pattern or a unique usage of glass. Again, as mentioned, the Palladian motif windows will not be replaced. The replacement of the existing 1/1 windows with new composite 1/1 windows will not significantly affect the character or style of the structure. Next, the applicant will repair the missing and existing metal railing with wood or composite railing painted white to match the railing on the porch. The replacement of the metal railings was evaluated under the guidance for residential porches in J2, guidelines for residential porches in the design guidelines. While specific written guidance was not presented in this section, exhibit displayed appropriate styles for the railing. You can see up there, that was pulled out of the design guidelines. The design proposed by the applicant has a top and bottom railing with appropriately spaced balusters matching this exhibit. The railing will be painted white to match the railing on the porch. Finally, the repair of the foundation and front garden bricks with similar bricks and mortar complies with Section F1B of the design guidelines, which states that mortar should be replaced in strength and composition, color, and texture. Using similar bricks to replace the cracked brick will also serve to maintain and preserve the original historic material. So therefore, with all these considerations, staff finds that the application as presented generally conforms to the Historic District Design Guidelines. Based on the previous finding of fact, staff recommends approval of the Certificate of Appropriateness HLC 2022-00015 with the conditions noted above in staff's report. This concludes staff's presentation. I will stand by for any questions after the public hearing. Thanks so much.
Thank you. We'll now open the floor for the public hearing for this item. Is there anyone who would like to speak in favor of it?
My name is Mario Zamani. I'm the owner of the property, and I want it to be approved, and I'm here for any question.
Anybody have questions for?
Yes, I have some questions. First, I applaud you for taking on such an ambitious task and revitalizing this home. I realize it's a very arduous responsibility. However, and if I'm out of line in my questionings, I ask that the lawyer and also the staff correct me. In part of your packet here, I want to ask a couple of questions. And one, about how much is this project going to cost? And I'm asking for a specific reason.
The windows, just the windows, or
Yes.
the whole project? Okay, the windows probably around $15,000 for the windows. Kind of any Anderson Windows 100 series is almost 3 times more expensive than any vinyl windows. And I think altogether probably between 25 to 30.
My second,
1,000.
okay. My second question would be, are you doing this work or are you subcontracting this?
I subcontracted.
Okay.
I
What-
have a contractor license myself, but I subcontract the window and I subcontract the paint and other stuff to the contractors that they have been working for us for a long time.
And for my fellow commissioners, the reason I was asking is because in our packet, it has the Department of Professional and Occupational Regulation, Board for Contractors, Class C contractor, and valid on jobs of $10,000. If the expense of this is greater than $10,000, it nullifies this particular item that I'm looking at in our packet. That's the reason that I asked those questions. But being that she's subcontracted, it is null and void.
Comments from our attorney? Yeah. Do you have any comments on this?
No.
Okay. Other questions for the,
Just wondering, if I understand George properly, the cap for a Class C contractor is $10,000.
Right, that's what's right here in our packet.
Right. And
That's the reason
so
I asked.
are you looking at breaking this into 3 packets, each packet less, and phasing it in smaller chunks, or how?
I think I can do that, yes, definitely. If I need to do that, I will do that.
I'm not a DPOR person, but I am an architect. I'm subject to their licensing as well. So if that's satisfactory to them, they would probably be the people that
Okay.
you would talk to.
Yeah, I will do that.
further questions? Go ahead, sorry, go ahead.
Staff had a,
Want to close the public hearing first, and you want to?
Tell you what, let's close it, let's see if there's any other comments, and then we'll close the public hearing, and then we'll begin into the comments with the commission, and we'll deal with that question at that time. So,
Thank you.
is there anyone else who would like to speak in favor of this application? Is there anybody who would like to speak opposed to it? If not, we'll close the public hearing on this, and then we'll let the staff speak.
Sure. I wanted to answer Mr. Bailey's question. The reason why her contractor's license was included in there was when you have a contractor statement which evaluates if those windows are beyond repair, you have to have a licensed contractor. That's not really related to the cost of the work. It's related to her professional expertise in determining if these windows are beyond repair. So, if she was doing one window that was being replaced, she would still need to show that license. So I just wanted to clarify that. It's not about the cost. It's about verifying that she has the expertise to determine if those windows are beyond repair.
So essentially then, the requirement that is shown in the guidelines then don't directly apply to the situation we're talking about, that we're looking at. Is that correct?
Right. So she gave a evaluation report. You know how I mentioned that it said the windows are beyond repair. It can't just be from anyone. It has to be from a licensed contractor. So that's not really based on if she is an A contractor who can only do $10,000 worth of work. It just says that she has the professional skills to evaluate these. Doesn't mean she can do the work, in other words.
Thank you. Okay, good question, good answer. Any further discussion among the commissioners?
as
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
As I viewed the property, I think it's a very beautiful property, and from a very subjective standpoint, it's probably the most beautiful home on Clay Street, particularly with the wraparound porch, which I'm a big fan of. It is kind of sad that the decadence of this property has taken place. Even in the letter, it says over 10 years there will a lot of growth to come about. So I think that not only we're charged with keeping the historic guidelines, but I'm very compelled to support and advocate for improvement, enhancing this home altogether if this particular homeowner is obligated or rather committed to doing so.
Might like to make a motion.
That was a motion.
Is that a motion?
No, just comments.
Okay.
A motion that we would vote
Okay, we have a motion to approve. We have a second.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion, further discussion? Could we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Bailey,
Yes.
Commissioner Bissell,
Yes.
Commissioner Coley,
Yes.
Commissioner Draper,
Yes.
Chairman Hobbs,
Yes.
Commissioner King,
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer,
Yes.
Commissioner Turner. The motion passes with a vote of 8-0.
Thank you. Okay, we have a third item on the agenda. Request for Certificate of Appropriateness, HLC 2022-0016, submitted by Jerry L. Jones, applicant, on behalf of the City of Suffolk property owner for site alterations at property located at 219 West Washington Street and 101 South Saratoga Street. The property is further identified as tax map number 34G18A, star 361, 34G118A, star 362, star 365, 34G18A, star 368, 34G18A, star 369A, and 34G17A, star 168, star 169, Suffolk Voting Borough. Zone CBD, Central Business District, Zoning District, and HC, Historic Conservation Overlay District. Can we have a staff report, please?
Good morning again. Specifically, the applicant is proposing a festival event park. Actions include installing landscaping, black metal fencing, benches, electrical outlet kiosks, 3 entrance arches with a sign, an 8-foot-tall wooden screen wall, pavement throughout the park, parking for 40 cars, and appropriate lighting for the parking lot and around the perimeter of the park. The subject property is located at 219 West Washington Street and 101 South Saratoga Street within the East Washington Street District of the Suffolk Historic Conservation Overlay District. According to the National Register of Historic Places Inventory Nomination Form, the 2002 boundary expansion to the Suffolk Historic District is a continuous area encompassing a large number of commercial buildings dating from the early 20th century, small enclaves of residential buildings, several warehouses, banks, service stations, 2 depots, and 1 courthouse. Commercial, industrial, and transportation-related buildings surround the residential neighborhoods. The most common building form noted in this area is brick-fronted Italianate or vernacular-style commercial structures. The property is located in the CBD, Central Business District zoning district. The festival event park will be comprised of 5 parcels. If you recall, on December 10th, 2021, the Historic Landmarks Commission approved Certificate of Appropriateness, HLC 2021-00036, to demolish a non-contributing structure at 219 West Washington Street. Previously, the apartment building located at 101 to 113 South Saratoga Street was condemned by the city in August 2020 as the result of structural damage sustained from a tornado on August 4th, 2020. This property is currently a vacant lot. Again, as mentioned, specific actions include installing landscape, black metal fencing, benches, electrical outlet kiosks, entrance arches, wooden screen wall, pavement throughout the park, parking for 40 cars, and appropriate lighting around the park and for the parking lot. Due to the removable nature of the stage planters and removable bollards, these elements are not part of the application. Above, you can see some of the materials used for the park. First, this site will include 4-foot-tall decorative black aluminum fencing along the perimeter of the along the perimeter of the park, ending in a 5-foot-tall pylon at the minor entrance. The pylons will match the materials used at the front entrance, particularly in the arches. Trees, low plantings, a sidewalk, and decorative light poles with 4-inch acorn fixtures will also line the perimeter of the park. Benches and raised electrical outlet kiosks will be positioned in the shade of the tree line. At the main entrance of the park, facing the intersection of West Washington Street and South Saratoga Street, there will be 3 grand entrance arches, approximately 36 by 20 foot 10 inches and 34 feet by 18 feet and 29 feet by 14 feet 2 inches, designed to complement the materials and forms of the new library to the west. On the center 34-foot by 18-foot arch, an approximately 23-square-foot sign will display Suffolk Festival Park. Near the front entrance, a portable stage and removable bollards will also be incorporated into the site as needed. Again, that's not part of the application. Decorative concrete paved paths will connect the entrance, a food truck eating area to the northwest, temporary restrooms for events, and parking to the south. An 8-foot tall screen at the west edge of the site will run parallel to the wall of the adjacent building. See if I can get that to work. That right there. The screening wall will be constructed of wood or a similar material stained an appropriate opaque color. Finally, parking for 40 cars will be provided to the south with access points at South Saratoga and Jackson Street. Lighting for the parking area will use LED pole kits with two 200-watt LED lights and will comply with the lighting standards in Section 31-604 of the Unified Development Ordinance. The Festival Park fulfills the vision of the festival event site as outlined in the Suffolk Downtown Master Plan. The plan for downtown envisions the festival event site as a revitalization tool that will increase demand for retail, restaurants, and housing by bringing pedestrian traffic to the area. All conceptual plans, material specifications, and documents in support of the Certificate of Appropriateness application for the Festival Park were reviewed according to the Unified Development Ordinance and the design guidelines. It was found that the proposal meets all regulations and guidelines for the district. No fences or screen walls will exceed 8 feet in height, complying with Section 31-701C of the UDO. The 4-foot-tall perimeter fence with 5-foot-tall pylons appears to be at least 50% open and is an appropriate height and material for the district. Additionally, the 8-foot-tall screening wall at the western corner of the site will be constructed of wood or a similar material and painted an appropriate solid color. The 3 arches at the main entrance of the corridor of West Washington Street and South Saratoga Street create a monumental entrance and will reflect the materials used in the proposed library. The signage on the center arch complies with size and dimensional requirements for the underlying CBD zoning district and are an appropriate scale for the 2.1-acre park. Sidewalks and pathways on the perimeter and throughout the park will be constructed of concrete, an appropriate material for the district. Finally, the benches, electrical outlet kiosks, lighting, and the parking lot are all compatible with the design guidelines and the existing standards used throughout the city. So, after evaluation, staff believes that the criteria of the Historic District Design Guidelines can be met based on the above finding of facts and the conditions outlined below. Therefore, staff recommends approval of these conditions in regard to HLC 2021-00016. So this concludes my presentation, and I will again stand by for any questions. Thanks again.
Thank you. Will I open the floor for public hearing on this item? Is there anybody who would like to speak in favor of this item? Morning.
Morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. My name is Gary Jones, Director for Capital Programs with the City of Suffolk here. As you recall, I first brought this project to you, introduced it to you back in November, I think it was, when I brought it along with the library project to talk about some of the initiatives we were looking at taking on that part of West Washington Street. And then, as Ms. Baker stated, in December, we received the Certificate of Appropriateness to remove the structures located at the Saratoga, West Washington Street area, those remaining structures, which I will be taking down very soon. So those are coming down very shortly. But also, you heard me talking about the library and the park together. And there's a reason for that, because this is a pretty substantial investment the city is making on this part of Washington Street, and it falls right in line with the goals that are outlined in the approved and adopted downtown master plan. So we're very happy to get going on some of these things. What I want to do today, though, is, as a part of the request for certificate, is to give you a little bit more detail about some of the features of the park, how we develop some of these features, and how we think they work very well within the district, and along with some of the other initiatives we're doing, mainly the Central Library, and how they all, in our minds, we want to make them a seamless kind of a flow on this part of West Washington Street. So at this time, I'm going to ask Mr. Forrest French. He's an architect or landscape architect with Woolpert, who's our consulting engineers on this project, to come forward and give you a little bit more detail and a little information about some of the features that Ms. Baker has mentioned. And at the end of his presentation, we'll be glad to answer any questions you may have.
Good morning. I don't know how much more detail I can give than Ms. Baker gave, but I'll go through quickly with the located West Washington and Saratoga is our entry feature. The buildings around the site are pictured here. The one on the upper left is the one that was demolished. Textual photographs. To point out a little bit of this area right here. We've got the restaurant on the left, and we've got a little triangular area for food trucks and kind of a picnicky atmosphere with tables with canopies. The gray band here is for truck traffic to get the trucks in. It's heavy paved, and this area to the south, along that walk, are benches and kiosks for recharging. We've got the portable toilets here, only for events. We do have a wall back here. The wall that Ms. Baker was mentioning is the wall around it's going to be a permanent screen around the portable toilet area. The wall back here is approximately 50 feet long and 8 feet high, and it's designed in the same materials as the entry feature. Got walks around the interior perimeter of the park with seating in between the trees here. And that we have the lighting that will complement the streetscape lighting out on West Washington Street and kind of bring that into the park just inside on the grass here. Portable stage in and out. The perimeter fencing is essentially wherever you see these trees, and at the ends of the perimeter fencing we'll have it's going to be that black ornamental fencing. We'll have pylons that will match the materials of the entry feature. We have a pull-off here, just a drop-off, pick-up, pull-off for convenience. And that's about it for the features. The 40 space parking lot, connection down to Jackson Street, and the hope is that we have some connection to the library, physical connection someday, if the land can be acquired. Traffic flow, pedestrian flow, vehicular, out on the street, into the parking lot. Shows you the portable stage flow and the drop-off. Shaker already pointed out the nature of the features, the benches, trash cans, the trees, that fence that will shield the portable toilets. The material of the entry feature and the pylons and that back wall will be steel with metal panel. You won't see the steel. The steel is just structural. So, any questions?
Questions?
I have a question. You mentioned how many restaurants are there going to be? You mentioned that there are going to be restaurants in the park.
It's a restaurant near the...
There's a private restaurant next door, which he was referring to, that we back up to. We're not providing that restaurant now. What he did mention was we will have a location that we will support for the events. We will have food trucks and things like that, which is actually adjacent to the restaurant. There's an area, if we can back that up, to the area he was talking about here, right there. He mentioned the restaurant he's talking about is here. It's not open yet, but the plan is that the owner here is going to open this up at some time in the future. But the food area, the food trucks area is right there, that triangular shaped area that will support food trucks with water and power to support those vehicles.
Only one logistical question that I have is that just like when you go to Belk, you go to Kroger, you go to the bank, every employee is going to need a parking space. So if you already have 40, then there are going to be parking spaces needed for those who are working the event, and there are going to be parking space needed for those who are wanting to enjoy what's being offered. So my question, is there any plans to expand the amount of parking? Because you mentioned in November and December there's going to be the anticipated traffic flow of 100,000 annually, and I know with the horse and buggy roads that we have on Saratoga and Washington, it's going to create a greater complication, particularly as the areas around Obacy continue to grow.
Well, the great thing about being right here in downtown, there's so many opportunities for public parking. There's obviously, you have the immediate parking that'll be here. There's on-street parking on Washington. There'll be new parking at the library, which is basically a block away. There's also, you have the other lots with Saratoga Street lot, the Cherry Street lots. You have even as far away as the Godwin Courthouse lot, which is a couple of blocks away. You have the City Hall parking lot. So there's opportunities for a lot of parking to attend anything that may happen at this site. You may have to walk a block or two, but there's parking in the immediate downtown to support whatever events that will happen here. Any other questions?
Questions?
I've got a dumb architect question for you. Right at the corner parcel, it's number 365, or 362 and 365. It looks like in this, I'm not sure what page number that Alexis has it here, but right on the corner, it's got just a blank slice in between the crosshatch. Is that like subsurface utilities or what?
I think it's one little parcel, I think actually has no address, if I'm not mistaken. It's one little parcel in there that doesn't even have an address to it.
Okay, it's like a little slice.
It's a little slice, yeah,
Okay.
when I was doing the application, I said, wow, this doesn't have an address. But yeah, that's one of those little small parcels that's included in all of these pieces that make up
That's
the
not
entire.
a subsurface utility or
No,
anything that you
no,
have
it's
to
not.
access?
No, it's not.
Thank you.
And if there's no more questions, I'd like to just emphasize, as you see, if you recall, and I wish I had a library rendering, but as you can see, we've taken a lot of care into making sure that some of these elements that are in the downtown, this part, especially this part of Washington Street, as well as what has been established with the new library design, which has already received a certificate of appropriateness from this commission to proceed forward with that. You can see we've taken great care to to really make sure this and the elements that we're doing in this park really complement the features that have been established downtown, and they've been established with the new library project, so that once again, this part of Washington Street, when all this is put together, I think it's going to be a very a seamless connection between, and we want that traffic to flow between all these sites and have some relationships to each other from an architectural and a landscaping standpoint, so it all works well together. So I think we've achieved that, and I think it's going to be very obvious once it's all put together.
I had a few questions, not necessarily about, it may not really apply to the certificate, but more about lighting.
Yes.
So for the arches, is there any plan to have like the lighting from the ground, like hitting up on the arches? And the same thing with like the landscaping too. Is it there plans to do some landscape lighting or anything like that?
As far as I know, no landscape lighting aside from the light standards within the park along the perimeter sidewalk. We have been talking about uplighting the feature, so that's very likely. Yeah.
And the last question I had too was about for the parking area. Are there going to be any permanent like signs installed on the ground about parking going into the?
Yeah, I can speak to that. That's part of another overall package. You may have seen that in a previous presentation. There's a wayfinding sign package that's been put together for entire downtown. So that package, when it comes around, will support everything that's happening here regarding parking, location of parking, how to move about. So yes, that's wayfinding signage will be part of the overall downtown package. The other thing, I'll go back to the arches, and you mentioned uplighting. I think, yeah, we were talking about that. I think the idea is we will end up uplighting that. Once again, these arches not only is an entry to the park, but it's also a landmark in the downtown. It become a landmark that can be, a reference point for many people visiting downtown when they come to downtown. So yes, it's likely this will be up there. And also these arches lends itself to the opportunity for different times of the year for different festive type events to be able to outfit the entry with different holiday features that may be appropriate. So as you drive downtown, next time you drive through downtown, if you look back towards the site, as you coming through different parts of downtown, you get glimpses of Saratoga, this intersection. I think you really see that this is going to be a pretty prominent component downtown, and you'll see it from different vantage points as you move around through the downtown. So going back to your lighting, uplighting, that's one reason why we're going to do that, because it is going to be a reference point downtown.
Thank you.
Just another question on these, on the three arches. Will the steel panels go all the way to grade, or is there some kind of a more durable surface, a wainscot or something for people that crash their strollers and kids that like to kick the walls and over-enthusiastic pets? I'm just wondering how long that metal is going to.
How long?
Do you need something
before
sturdy?
It starts to look bad?
Yeah. Before. Yeah.
We don't have plans for any kind of wainscot or base right now, but we currently it does go almost to the ground.
Mm-hmm.
There would be a gap naturally to make a gap between the pavement and the middle panel.
That's a great point, though. I think we can easily incorporate almost like a offset base to create so that you don't get that impact directly against the traffic. So I think we can probably, without even really obviously impacting the view of what you're looking at here, have a base that sets off a bit just to give you that separation so that you don't have.
Yeah, almost just like a little plinth, just to
Exactly.
keep the tires and the
Exactly.
feet away from the metal.
Maybe
And-
something that coordinates with those columns.
Yes.
Where the fence is.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, one last question. Will Jackson Street remain one-way or two-way based on your traffic flow? I know that you were talking when doing the library that you were converting Lee Street to one-way. So will Jackson Street itself remain?
There's no plans at this point to change any of the traffic flow on Jackson Street from what it is right now.
Further questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who'd like to speak in favor of this application? Is there anyone who'd like to speak opposed to it? If not, we'll close the public hearing portion of this meeting, and we'll open the floor for discussion among the commissioners.
I think it's definitely a very exciting project. Very looking forward to it getting built, and I'd like the motion for approval.
Chairman Hobbs, I just wanted to add one more thing to it before you make the motion. They do need to add to this application that concrete wall on the western corner.
Everybody catch that?
Does that make sense? So within the conditions, it was just evaluating the 8-foot tall wooden slat in front of the bathrooms, but the concrete 8-foot wall that is running parallel to that restaurant needs to be added.
Okay?
Does that make sense?
It does to me. Does everybody understand that? Okay, is that consistent with your motion?
Motion still stands.
Okay, motion still stands. All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Discussion, further discussion? Not, we'll ask for a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Bailey,
Yes.
Commissioner Bissell,
Yes.
Commissioner Coley,
Yes.
Commissioner Draper, Chairman Hobbs,
Yes?
Commissioner King,
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer,
Yes.
Commissioner Turner. The motion passes with a vote of 8-0.
Thank you. Okay, we'll now call for enforcement updates.
Chairman and
Morning.
members of the commission. Susan Dillard, I'm bringing you the property maintenance update. 342 North Main Street, we have several property maintenance code violations. There's going to be a court hearing regarding that on the 4th of August. 179 East Washington Street, a few violations. The court hearing is July 7th. 205 Grace Street, there were interior property maintenance violations, and they have completed the repairs of that structure. 223 Bank Street, there are several property maintenance violations. We are waiting a title search on that property. 219 Clay Street, several property maintenance violations. We're waiting a title search on this property. This property has also gone into foreclosure. 181 North Main Street, there are several property maintenance violations, interior violations, and there will be, that court case has been continued to December. They are submitting their proposals for the electrical repairs and upgrade. 112 West Washington Street, several property maintenance violations. That structure was vacated by order of the property maintenance official, myself, and the fire marshal. So it is now vacant. 140 West Washington Street, there's a sidewalk that needs to be repaired, and there's a court hearing on July 7th.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and board members. My name is Melvion Knight, and I'm the Assistant Zoning Administrator and Enforcement Coordinator for the City of Suffolk. I'm bringing to you today the zoning violations that are currently active in the Historic District. The property address of 302 Bank Street. We sent this item to court on June 2nd, and it was a court fine rendered in the amount of $1,000. This property is still in non-compliance. 118 West Washington Street was issued a notice of violation for operating live entertainment without a conditional use permit. This item is due to go to Planning Commission for the June session. 130 Commerce Street. This property was also operating live entertainment / light bar without a conditional use permit. This item is due to go to City Council for the June session. So we are, it is pending a determination from City Council. 157 West Washington Street. This item was also operating live entertainment / night bar without a conditional use permit. This item is pending determination from City Council in June. 112 West Washington Street. This location was operating live entertainment / night bar club without a CUP. The structure is currently vacant by order from the fire marshal and building officials, so it is vacant. No activity is happening at this time. 202 East Washington Street, another item that was operating live entertainment without a conditional use permit. The site is working with Parks and Rec for special events permits for the minor activity that are happening within this site. I'm available for any comments or questions from the board. Thank you.
Any administrative approvals?
I have two administrative approvals. One is HLC 2022-0008, and that's 217 East Washington Street. That's for a wall sign and window sign that complies with the design guidelines. Then there's HLC 2022-0017. That's 157 North Main Street for a handicap ramp.
Are there any announcements?
Sure. First of all, I do want to remind you that July is elections, so kind of keep that in mind. I also wanted to announce to you all that I'm retiring July 1st. However, we have really good help. Keith Kennedy's in the audience. Wave to everyone, Keith.
Good morning. Looking forward to working with you all.
Keith has over 30 years of planning experience. He's coming to us from the Planning District Commission, and he's worked previously with Norfolk and Hampton. So he's an asset to the city with all his experience. So I appreciate working with you all. You've been a really great group, very interested, inquisitive. So I appreciate working with all of you.
We get to vote on whether or not we allow you to retire.
That's right.
I don't know. You may see me again. Who knows? Thank you so much.
Okay. Okay. Since there's no further business on the agenda, we'll declare the meeting closed. Thank you.